Hello, this is Chris with Brothaspeak Podcast, where we talk about Black LGBT issues and topics, and I'm your host, Chris, as I said before, and this is my political, I guess you could say, my political podcast that I'm having with Mr. Howson here. This is Micheal, Magic Mike is what we call him, Howson. He's over in the Black Caucus. He's on the local chapter here in Broward County, and I wanted to have this podcast for several reasons. I think it's very safe to say a lot of people were very disappointed in the election and the turnout, and a lot of people really just don't know what the hell happened. And I want to make sure I have this particular special podcast, one, to actually talk about, LGBT topics, but also just Black in general, and just the people in general, of what we potentially may face, what we may feel pertaining to our future, and all the work that has been done for the past several decades. I think right now a lot of people are just really in this state of unawareness, very afraid, very unsure. So I want to introduce Magic Mike. Hello, Magic.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you for coming, by the way. Thank you for coming.
Of course.
So, you were the first person I thought of because I wanted people to kind of get an understanding of this whole thing. And I said, well, who better to actually get a better understanding than Magic Mike?
I appreciate it.
So, first off, tell me, what is your whole deal? Because you were working on several campaigns during this time, right? Mm-hmm. And first off, what campaigns were you actually working on?
Well, I worked on County Commissioner Dale Holness for District 9, which covers Central Broward. It's Lauderdale Lakes, Lauderhill, like a slice of North Lauderdale, Margate, Tamarack, but also Plantation, Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, and Oakland Park. So it's quite a large area. It's the majority Black seat in the county. And we pulled out a victory for him to keep him in place. And then I also worked on Mark Douglas's campaign. He's an attorney. He ran for the city commission in Sunrise, and he's actually the first Black commissioner elected to Sunrise City Council.
Wow, okay.
In its 55-year history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're very proud of that.
Nice.
By 51%, and that's huge.
Wow. That's a huge amount. Okay. I mean, well, one thing...
With record turnout.
With record turnout? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, number one, I mean... When you guys saw, well, first off, congratulations on that win, and you being a part of that. So I know if I run, I know who to call. Now the thing about it is, I think it may have took everyone by shock. I'm not sure of what, because I know Hillary Clinton, she was actually really, really promoting very heavy down here in South Florida, and we came out. Broward County came out, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. We came out. I think our numbers were, overall 80% definitely on our side, or 60? What was
almost. We got to about 78, 79% turnout in Broward, which is huge because we have about 600,000 registered Democrats. Yeah. We have 257,000 Republicans and 308,000 NPAs and a couple thousand others. So we're looking at almost 1.2 registered voters in the county. 70% is huge. I mean, not quite record. Right. Overall for the county, our highest record now is for our turnout for President Obama in 2008 and 2012. But we got pretty close. So turnout was real. We had a lot of campaigns who were working very hard. You had a lot of local campaigns going on for the city commissions, the county commissions, the judge, the property appraiser, the clerk of courts, the sheriff. We had third-party organizations like super PACs like For Our Future were here. The presidential campaigns were here. Yeah. Everyone was here on the ground because they know how important South Florida was. Right. And so that's what contributed to that turnout. We had huge turnout for early vote. We had huge turnout for the vote by mail ballots. Which is what we had really been pushing from both just the third party, just liberal movement, like that's what we want our people to do because they're not turning out enough. But also directly from the party, we were pushing that. All of our people on our committees and our clubs and our caucuses and stuff like that, everyone voted by mail.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Because we're all working election day.
True.
And all that. We don't have time to go to the polls, which is the deal with most people, right?
That's
why we want them to do the vote by mail ballot in the first place. So there was a lot of work put into turning out for this election. So we definitely went, and that's evident also with some of the state amendments that were passed. So for instance, Amendment 2 for the medical marijuana. Yeah. I was the regional coordinator back in 2014 for Broward and Palm Beach.
Oh, and, okay.
My counties won the vote then, but it didn't pass because of the rest of the state. Gotcha. So now, because of that extra turnout we have for the presidential election, that's one of those things that passed with like 72% of the vote. It was huge.
That was a bit, I guess, when it comes to the marijuana thing, I mean, of course, it actually has many benefits to it. Mm-hmm. But also when you kind of look a little bit deeper in the details, it appears to me that the type of marijuana is not necessarily a lot of bells and whistles to it. Mm-hmm. There's a certain type of medical marijuana that they're allowing.
Oh, okay. People were somewhat confused because what the legislature did a couple years ago is they passed a bill that allowed a particular strain of marijuana that they call Charlotte's Web. Okay. And that was to be used for medical purposes, specifically with children who suffered with like epilepsy and seizures and stuff like that. It's treated for that. And you're right that it is a modified version. It doesn't have all the complete components of the whole plant, right? So that basically it's missing the THC that gives you the euphoric feeling, which is what people are smoking it to get high for, right?
Right.
So the other cannabinoids, can work to help address the symptoms of a lot of different ailments that actually afflict people. Right?
Gotcha.
But one of the things that research also shows that the best treatment, if you're going to use that, is the whole plant. Modifying it to remove the THC, to remove the euphoric experience from it, actually lessens the overall health benefits of it.
Right.
Because it works in combination. All of it works in combination together. We shouldn't be surprised.
Right.
So what Amendment 2 does for us now is that it's not limiting it to a specific strain of marijuana to be used. It's going to be whatever is going to be cultivated and available here in the state. Those are further regulations that need to be implemented by the legislature now that the amendment has actually passed.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the amendment just really said that it's legal and it can be used for certain purposes, specifically medical purposes, with a specific list of approved conditions with which it can be treated.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the rest of that, like how many dispensaries are going to be available, how many growers, and licensing, and all of that with the pricing structure and taxes, how going to be collected and spent and all that, that is yet to come.
Oh, boy.
So, and I'm glad that we started talking about that first, because that's been my message since the end of the election.
Okay.
A lot of people are upset about what happened and they're feeling despondent. I'm like, you know what? We don't have time to wallow.
That's true. We really don't.
We really don't. Do not. Yeah. We cannot turn away.
Yeah.
All right. True. Disengaging from the system is what brought us to this point right now.
That's true. That's very true.
If we really feel like Donald Trump is dangerous and the Republicans who are controlling Congress are dangerous and the people who support them are dangerous, then we cannot turn a blind eye to the work that they're going to be doing for the next 4 years.
That is very true. Okay.
Not if we plan on protecting ourselves. That's at a number of levels. So just sticking with the marijuana issue, let's say that you're a black businessman, you want to get into that. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to what's happening at the Capitol.
Right.
Make sure that you're going to lobby days and paying attention, making sure that you're reading all the news that's possibly available, making sure that you're engaging your representatives ahead of any news that may come out.
Gotcha.
So they know that you are interested and that you are a voice, you are a constituent that needs to be fought for.
Exactly. And
the thing that the party needs to know now, what all Democrats need to know now, our responsibility is to be the opposition party.
The opposition party. And have we been doing a good job of that?
Oh, no, not at all. The Democrats, and I think especially here in Florida, they achieved a certain amount of success, and I think that they got complacent. And not to mention, because people are people.
Yeah.
We all know now that we have several people in leadership of the party who were no good for us at all.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to name names: Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Allison Tant.
Okay,
you know, who they both need to go sit down somewhere.
You know, it's kind of funny. You know, I think one of the rappers, he's very political in the stance, and I just saw something he said on with TMZ. Was it Ben? No, not Benner.
David Benner.
Not David Benner.
Or Killer Mike.
Killer Mike. There you go.
There you go.
And Killer Mike, he made it very pointedly clear that we should make the Democrats work for our vote, because right now they're very like, it's almost like we already got that, and so we really don't give that much value to our votes, and that's one of the things that he was actually saying recently, not this long on YouTube. You can actually pull it right now. What do you say to that? Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. We do need to make them work, because that was our failure. You know, we had leadership who decided that they were going to tell us which candidate we needed to vote for. Yeah. And we thought it was offensive that Donald Trump, you know, made that little appeal to African American voters saying, you know, what have you got to lose? I mean, honestly, the Democratic Party been treating us like that for how many decades now?
Yeah, you know,
I mean, let's be honest.
That's true. That's very true.
Because, you know, it's like we all know as black people, all right, being a black man, being a black woman in America, like, who else are you going to vote for?
See, and you know, that's the thing. I think because of the fact that people look at Democratic and stuff, by the way, most people, I think, vote wrong anyway. I think a lot of Latino also vote wrong when it comes to Republican, and a lot of Latinos have said that through the years. We're voting wrong. We're just voting for this particular reason, and a lot of blacks also tend to vote wrong just because of the fact that
almost a quarter of black men in Jacksonville voted for Donald Trump.
You're kidding me. You are kidding me. Wow.
A quarter, almost. Wow. Okay?
Wow.
So the thing that we also fail to realize and acknowledge is that politics has become even more now a popularity contest than it is a competition of ideas.
I think I have the perfect solution. Let's just make a reality TV show. We don't necessarily call it The Apprentice. Let's just call it The Black Prentice. Let's just call it The Black People Show. Whatever. And just be a reality TV star. You will make it. Omarosa got a position. You see Donald Trump, as many people have said that this man has probably it comes across. His language is like the grade of a third grader, I believe. And we vote for him. And it don't take that much. As long as you have popularity, as long as you have a brand, that's it. That's all you really need. I think we kind of got the formula. So the part that I guess, number one, I want people to understand, why is the local vote deeply more important? And I think a lot of people really don't quite understand it, and a lot of people really don't turn out to local votes at all. Can you please explain to a lot of people why locally voting is deeply important?
Well, I'll put it like this, Chris. Like, you know, when the streets are flooding, who are you gonna call? Not your congressman.
That's true.
Not the president.
Yeah, that's true.
If the lights on the street don't work where your children play, or the lights don't work at the park where your children play, who are you gonna call? Not your congressman.
True.
Not your president.
True.
That's true. People have to take a moment to hold their head up and look around them a little bit. You know, I don't want to make it sound too much like a conspiracy theory, but there is a little bit of something to it when you really look that we are all so caught up in living our daily lives that we don't bother to take the time to be engaged civically. Okay. You know, we're not going to our homeowners association meetings. We're not going to our local party meetings. We're not going to our city commission meetings. We're not going to the county commission meetings. Yeah. We're not going to any of the county hearings for anything. Yeah. Because I go to these meetings. They happen, you know, weekdays, weekends, the workshops, seminars during the middle of the day, in the afternoon, in the evening. A lot of people say that our government does not do anything to try and reach them. And it's not that I don't see that our government could do better in reaching out to people and establishing that line of communication. I have several ideas on that. But also at the end of the day, we realize that our elected officials and the bureaucrats who work under them, they are also people. They also have lives. They don't have all the time in the world to dedicate to trying to get you to pay attention.
That's true.
And you not trying to pay attention.
That's true. That's very true. So,
there are community boards for our people to sit on, okay? All you have to do is go meet an elected official, let them know you're interested, and submit your little application or whatever the city process or the county process is, and you get appointed. And now you have a voice. There are boards that advise our governments on what to do with land development, on where to put businesses and where to zone them. We have boards that determine how just the landscaping around the city looks and around the county looks.
Right.
Okay? Right. We have Department of Transportation and Engineering and everything and advisory boards for the canals and the road systems and all of that. Like, why aren't people participating? We have a taxing district here in Broward County for water, soil and waste management.
Wow.
How many people actually voted in that? About 300,000 people or so. You know, Jelani Harvey, he won the seat here in Broward County, and he's also a young black man.
Really?
Yes. I believe he's 26.
26?
Yeah. He won his first election.
Holy crap. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, and I just met him a year ago at was it a year ago? Maybe 2 years ago at the last convention we had up in Orlando, the last state party convention.
Wow.
He was planning on moving back to Florida because he's from Broward, and he wanted to be more involved with politics and stuff like that. He took it upon himself to come to the conference. He bought his own tickets, everything. He ain't know nobody there, but he made sure that he came. He got a schedule. He found out when the Black Caucus meeting was so that he can meet black people there. He came and he talked to us.
You know what? I like that. 26 years old.
Yes.
Wow.
And that is the kind of thing that I'm making it my mission now to inspiring people. Every day I talk to people. Like, it is so easy. You don't have to run for office like he did and deal with the mess with the Water, Soil, and Waste Management Commission that he's going through right now. You don't have to do that, but you can watch the meetings online. Even if you don't actually attend in person at the time that it's happening, most of the cities and the county post the meetings online. The agendas are there. The video recording is there. You can catch up.
Wow. So really, at this point, we really absolutely have no excuse.
No excuse. And it's as simple, like 1 hour out of your month. Make a phone call, write a letter, let your elected officials know that you're watching. You know what is happening. Wow. Like with this penny tax that the county wanted for transportation and infrastructure. Yeah. On the face of it, it sounds really good. A lot of people don't understand why they were being told to vote no. They voted no on the second part because there was a measure put on by the county and a measure put on by the cities, the leading cities. They both had to pass in order for the whole thing to pass. One of them failed. The city measure failed. Okay. That additional half penny. Okay. Now, the reason that I personally advocated for the failure of that is because I didn't feel like that money, when they got it, was going to be spent for the most benefit in the county. Gotcha. Okay. I.e., it wasn't going to be spent in the black areas of the county.
Okay. Which actually totally makes sense. I mean, here's the thing. Why do people want to pay attention when we're not even paying attention? If no one's going to give us attention, if we're not even necessarily doing it.
And that is exactly it. If you are not voting and you are not staying in contact with your elected official after they won the election to let them know that you are going to hold them accountable for what they do, why should they care? I always use the analogy, take a child into a candy shop, leave them in that bitch, and tell them don't touch nothing and walk away.
Good luck with that.
Exactly. So why if people are people, why should you expect these people to be any different? They finna take what they can get if nobody is looking.
You know, and it's kind of recent because I recently found out a little bit more information pertaining to even our police departments. There's the citizen board is not in every location.
No.
And and the thing about it is that's something that a lot of people really just cannot. You have to really call to find out anything about the existence of a citizen board. And when I heard about that, and that, by the way, just because you have a citizen board don't mean that citizen board has any power or bite to it.
Exactly.
And when I found that out, I was astonished. First off, I was told that the only one that really has some sort of a bite is, I believe, is in California, and it's almost like the model of what a citizen board should be.
Right, because they use a divest-invest structure, and basically they are trying to encourage the police to have a certain type of interaction out on the street. Right, because they are anticipating to spend X amount of dollars, right? And the rest of that money, the balance of that money is going to the oversight board, the civilian oversight board. Which has the power now to start subpoenaing records and stuff like that, to actually investigate issues and to do something about it, or to issue a thing about it independent of the actual police department itself. Gotcha. So it behooves the police department, if they want to keep their budget, to make sure that they're not having the negative kinds of interactions on the streets that they have historically had. Now, it is literally costing them more money to get in trouble with people than to do their job the way they're supposed to. Really? And that is the thing that our activist community here in South Florida has been switching to from the body camera movement.
Well, the body camera thing,
The thing about the body cameras is that it's still dependent on a biased power structure to implement that in order to keep us safe. Right. You're still dependent on that same police department to actually faithfully record every single interaction they have with the public. Yes. You're relying on them to set up the infrastructure to store that information, review it on demand, and you are relying on them to issue you that data, that footage, whatever, upon your request, in whatever timely manner they decide is appropriate.
Oh, God. Wow. Good luck with that.
And it's up to each individual law enforcement agency to implement it for themselves. So not only does BSO have to implement it for itself, but the cities, the remaining cities who still have their own police forces like Lauderhill and Plantation and them places, they gonna have to implement their own programs.
Wow. Jesus.
Exactly. It's too piecemeal. It relies too much on the existing biased power structure to actually do anything about it.
So we really
we as Americans, we tend to have a very short attention span and an even shorter memory. Yeah. So like that whole body cam thing is kind of gone from people right now. If it's not currently in the news, if it's not currently on TMZ or Shade Room or none of that, people not talking about it.
You know, I think the last, it was actually a poll taken by Capitol Hill, or at least some political organization that took it. Mm-hmm. They said the only thing that people remember is the last 9 months.
Yep. Like, how do you think that the Republicans got reelected after they shut down the government because they weren't getting what they want? And sequestration is still in place. Wow. Like, people don't realize that. Many parts of sequestration are still in place because they were not able to make any movement on the budget. Right. You know, they're passing these continuing resolutions just to keep the government going and so on and so. Listen, people really need to pay attention at every level. And all it takes really is an hour of your time every month. Just take a little bit of time to read. Look at what's going on in Washington. Look at what's going on in Broward, and look at what's going on in your city. You can make 3 phone calls, write 3 letters, 2 letters on a phone call, 2 phone calls on a letter, whatever it makes sense for you. I guarantee you all of that will add up into 1 hour out of your time. But if everybody did it so that Debbie knew that how many 100,000 people or even a fraction, if a quarter of those people wrote into Debbie's office and told her how unhappy they were with her behavior, she would change.
Wow.
Because she would know that they're not only paying attention, but they're upset. And that she might lose that election. That's what matters to them.
That's true.
You can't just be mad that they're self-serving. Like, that's what we reward. That's who we say we want as leader. The loudest mouth in the room.
That's true.
Who can make their way. Not someone who can negotiate their way.
True.
Not someone who can compromise their way.
True.
Not someone who can bring everybody else to the table and hammer out an agreement. Yeah. But somebody who can make their way, who can force their way through,
right? Who
can shout everybody else down and put them in line. They like that. That is what Americans like,
and it's kind of
that's
funny.
Why they voted for Donald Trump.
And but the thing about it is, I would love the fact you can actually vote for somebody with some sort of intelligence with it. Keep in mind, just because you're in a business doesn't necessarily mean that business intelligence correlates to a political climate. It correlates to some sort of a gauge in terms of what the people really want. I mean, you can go as many surveys you want, but the reality is, it's a pretty difficult thing. It's a very difficult, because what your decisions affect stock markets. It affects people.
Exactly.
It affects everything.
It's a delicate balance.
A lot of people seem to only think, especially when I heard Mayor Giuliani say, people don't want the normal type of political guy anymore. They want somebody outside the political scope. I came from outside the political scope of things, and
now you're part of the infrastructure, and you're still there. And people are still supporting you. Like, they are not also suffering under your leadership. It's ridiculous. Like, why is the majority of people who receive federal aid poor white people living in Republican states?
Wow, you're right.
But they're still living on the image of the welfare queen. Yeah, there is Negroes around here popping out babies and have iPhones and swiping the EBT cards at the grocery store.
It's one of those things that,
like, they're the only ones.
But people are spoon-fed information. If I'm not, a lot of people look at it as, if I'm not spoon-fed information, then I don't believe it. I don't really see it, because no one's putting in the effort anymore, and the effort to even just to do absolutely anything. I mean, my God,
but that's why I applaud you for doing this podcast, because it is exactly what I've been preaching to people. If we want the community to change, we have to produce our own content.
You know what?
We have to feed ourselves.
See, and I read this something recently. They're saying that black unemployment is high. It's not black unemployment is high. It's black entrepreneurship is low. That's what he said. And I look at that and I say, you know what? To me, how it resonates to me, I said to myself, and I'm not by any means condoning or looking at diversity as a bad thing. But if you look at segregation back in the years, it was an actual benefit. Because we were able to work together. We were building things, building great infrastructure for ourselves, and building a better climate for ourselves. I look at those things and I say, you know what, in many respects, the communities around us, the other people around us do that.
Right.
They just don't publicize it.
Right.
They don't make it very known. Now, when I'm looking at, people like the cabinet selection that's being done right now.
Oh, God.
First off, let's talk about Pence and why he is so desperate to hide these emails is beyond me. Okay? I don't know anything about what's in these emails, but I kind of
after all the foolishness with Hillary, for him to come around here with these damn emails trying to hide, and everybody like, oh, that's just fine. It's fine. Whole house burning down. It's fine. I'm right here in the kitchen twiddling my thumbs. It's fine.
This is the part that I'm saying to myself, okay, now I'm curious. Why are you so vehemently trying to hide what's in these emails?
Right.
And not only that, but I recently heard about Trump. He was being sued, and now he's just settling. Settle. I think he had a $25 million lawsuit recently, and he just settle.
Well, yeah, because, he was complaining about getting unfair treatment from the media. I'm sorry, I did not hear half as much about the hundreds of lawsuits and whatever coming against him than what I heard about Hillary. And that thing was dead and old.
Yeah,
at that point for her. Honestly, She was not a great candidate. No, she was not. She wasn't even a decent candidate, to be honest. Let's be honest. Yeah, would she have made a good president? Yeah, I think that she could have done the job really well, actually. But she's not a real politician, and she's a terrible candidate. And you try to shove her down our throats.
And it's kind of funny because majority of the world, majority of the nation is Democratic. Are they not?
I think that's hard to say. I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm aware of the registration statistics nationwide, but I tell you what I do notice. Number one, that the Democrats tend to congregate in urban areas.
True.
If you look at the electoral map and you break it down like by the counties, I think I saw this on CNN or MSNBC, one of those channels the other night.
Yep.
And they were basically just showing you how the coastal areas of the country is where we tend to congregate. And a little bit of Chicago.
Because it's the majority of the cities, the majority of the heavy populated cities.
The ports are out here, the tourism is out here, and the huge cities are out here. Yeah. So you have Miami, you have Houston, you have New York, you have LA and Seattle, and all of those places along the outsides where the huge population centers are, in Chicago in the middle. That's where most of your Democrats are.
It's just kind of funny because someone just...
Everywhere else in between is colored red.
You're right about that.
But the funny thing is that even though it's clearly a larger landmass that's covered by the Republican Party, like, their numbers are much lower.
But they seem to be more powerful, clearly.
But that is the magic of gerrymandering. Yes.
What is it?
Gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering.
Oh, yes. That's when your congressional representatives get to pick which voters they will have in their next election. Because, they draw their own districts.
They pick which voters?
Yeah. They get to draw their own districts. So they make sure they draw districts that they can win, which are usually about 80 to 90% white.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
And that's the other thing that killed us with, I guess, kind of the affirmative action thing in trying to give blacks and other minorities these access districts. They will draw really weird districts that congregate all our power into one seat.
Yeah.
And all the other seats around it are controlled by the opposition.
Wow.
By our opposite party. Yeah. And that is how they maintain control. Wow. That is...
but I gotta give it to them. That's being strategic. Mm-hmm. That's damn near...
Because let's take Florida, for example. Where's the majority of the population in Florida?
Broward County, West Palm Beach, maybe Orlando's probably the third after that, but I would probably say South Florida.
Now, name where you think what the bluest counties in Florida are.
Broward County, maybe Broward County the most.
Broward, West Palm, Miami.
That's kind of funny because I would think West Palm would definitely be a little bit more red, considering that that's old money there. I would probably think they'll probably maybe split, but maybe a little bit more red than blue. But okay.
Overwhelming majority blue.
And in Miami, it's majority Latino. They always vote Republican majority of the time.
Yeah. Well, the registration though says that we have. That's the thing. It's registration versus turnout. All right.
Okay.
Republicans, they have a much higher rate of regular turnout.
Okay.
Every election.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Liberal people tend not to vote.
So, in other words, because we don't believe in the system as much, we give the other people the reins to really control.
Yep. And that's a comparison that I make to people all the time.
Wow.
Like, if you are not going to participate, why should they care what you think?
So this is going to be, I guess for me, I'm looking at it from a perspective of, okay, well then basically we have been pretty much stupid this entire time. We have not necessarily taken much action. And by the way, I haven't even touched on the LGBT issues at all, but just being complacent, just being passive, just being, I think right now you look for a reaction. I'm looking for that reaction of now more people begin to band together, finding organizations. But I guess I'm being wrong. I'm thinking right now, I'm really thinking that people should be proactive, not really reactive, just proactive. Because really anything that he decides right now is not going to really take place until 2 years. Is that correct? Am I wrong or no?
Not exactly. The thing is that the president is the chief administrator of the government. That's his number one job. I think that first and foremost, people need to understand that there was far too much emphasis placed on the office of the president, right?
Okay.
And his power seems disproportionate because of one of his additional things, what we call the bully pulpit, right? That his election, his style, his leadership style in his government, his message is the voice of the people. It is the message of the people.
Okay.
All right. He sets the tone as one of the other titles that he has in the Constitution is chief legislator, right? Which really means that he can present legislation to Congress. He can present a budget to Congress.
Gotcha.
Congress is under no obligation to do any shit that he wants.
Okay.
Which is the problem that President Obama has had for the longest time, right? Yeah. Congress is under no obligation to act. Look, President Obama introduced the Jobs Bill back in 2009. It was one of the first 100 things he did when he got into office. He had the American Jobs Act ready to go. Congress ain't never did nothing about that. Keep complaining about jobs. Ain't nothing did nothing about it though.
Okay.
They want to repeal Obamacare. Still haven't heard a peep about what is going to replace it. They just want to rip it up. So 21 million people can no longer have health care. That's so much better. I could see how that's so much better for us.
Wow.
I do. You know, I mean, sure, there's socialized medicine in 100 plus other countries in the world, but it's impossible for us to do it here. It won't work.
You know,
aren't you tired of hearing that bullshit?
You know, and the thing about it, and coming from the medical industry, and anyone who actually knows my history, I used to be in radiology for 6 years, me in pharmaceutical, used to be in medical staffing, and being aware of the medical climate, and being aware of the insurance, being aware of FDA, being aware all those things I had to be aware of because I was employed in that industry for a very long time, majority of my career. And the more that I learned about the other countries and what they also go through on the medical side as well is also a pain in the ass, apparently, for the countries.
Bureaucracy is always a pain in the ass.
Yes.
My thing is when you're telling me that what we have now is better than what's existing in other countries who are taking better care of their people, who demonstrably have better overall health of their populations than the U.S. does. I like to be a data-driven decision maker. Okay, I like to look at things and say, okay, what makes the most sense, right? Well, first of all, you establish your goal, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is it that you want to achieve? Okay, and then you say, all right, what makes the most sense in trying to achieve that goal? If you say that the optimum health of American people is your number one goal, all right. The insurance system and hot sick care system that we have right now does not get us there.
True.
Okay, what we had before does not get us there.
Right.
How can it possibly be better that people with pre-existing conditions don't get any coverage whatsoever? They should just go lay down and die somewhere. How is it better that insurance companies can charge just women, more for their health care because they're women?
You know what? I think
that goes against the very things that we have been fighting for leading up. Everything that people take for granted now has been fought for and won by the liberal movement.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. After the 1929 crash, that New Deal and everything set up the life that we have now. Okay. The fact that your children go to school instead of going into a factory or the fields to work. Right. The fact that you have weekends.
Right. And you're right. The weekends, actually, you're right about that. That was actually fought by the unions, I believe.
Yes, it was.
It was fought by the unions. If black people in general don't necessarily get involved, of course, you're not necessarily going to no one's going to really care. That's number one. But what I'm also looking at is that it's not just the black communities being involved. It's that's also in trouble here. It's the LGBT community from what I see. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is I think what I'm looking at, he says he's not going to talk about marriage. He's not going to touch that. Fine. But there's some things that each state, because we're talking about Pence, and in his state, you have to put literally a man or a woman on the application to file for marriage. Indiana, where Pence was the governor of, and if you put anything other than, that's considered to be falsifying an application, and that you can be arrested in the state of Indiana for. This is what Pence put in place as the governor of Indiana.
That answers your earlier question about why local elections are so gosh darn important.
Yeah.
Because just the fact that, the Supreme Court said, oh, no, like, this is legal, y'all can get married, that does not prevent states on an individual level from trying to obstruct your rights.
Yeah.
Okay? And the thing about that is, they can do it first, and then it gets questioned later. That is the thing that about our system, the mechanics of our system, that people need to understand. You cannot say that, oh, that can't happen here. Oh, yes, it can, and it will, and then it needs to be challenged. Okay?
Wow.
Or you can get off your lazy ass and do something while it's happening. Okay, kill it while it's in committee. Kill it while it's on the floor. Don't let it pass. That is your only option. You either don't let it pass or you fight it after it's been passed.
And fighting after is going to take a longer challenge.
Much longer.
Much more expensive.
And much more expensive. Wow. Absolutely.
Wow. So
that's why I said my message is to engage now.
See.
Don't wait for somebody to come reach out a hand to you. I mean, I've been preaching this to my fellow party people and politicals and activists and stuff like that. I use the metaphor, basically a landscape, a forest and a mountain. All right. A lot of people right now are lost in the forest.
Yes.
The destination is getting up the mountain. Some of us have made it out of the forest and started making our way up the mountain.
Yeah.
We cannot turn around and flash lights and call and do all that stuff to get people to follow us out of the forest. We need to lay down a breadcrumb trail and go back in, find our people, and take them by the hand and lead them out of the forest.
Gotcha.
Okay? Gotcha. So that now we're all making it up the mountainside, because when there are more of us, our chances of reaching the top are greater, and we can help each other along the way. We can keep pushing each other up the side of the mountain.
I honestly believe it's not the fact that people are lost, it's the fact that people are very complacent and they don't want to do anything about it. They look at the mountain.
It's a lot of work.
Don't get me wrong. Guess what?
Mm-hmm. And
it's a part of life. You mean to tell me
that's it?
You mean to tell me you would rather just sit back and wait for the bullet? You know the person's going to fire. You know this person's going to fire. Like right now, I look at what the cabinet is being developed with Trump. He is going to fire a bullet. He is going to fire a bullet. Are you telling me right now you're going to wait for the bullet? You're going to wait for the bullet.
But you know what I learned, Chris? Because I'm like that. I'm just like that. And I like to talk to people like that because, like, one of my favorite phrases is like, I can't believe I have to convince people that we should try and save the one and only planet that we know supports human life. Like, I cannot believe that is a thing. I need to try and convince you of that. Right? But what we have to understand is that we are not normal. Okay?
True.
We are not normal people. The fact that we care so much, all right, in this society at this time right now, we're not normal.
And
I know, and it's frustrating. You're like, oh God, why?
I mean,
why can't it just work?
It's okay. And anyway,
but we are not normal, so we have to first acknowledge that and be conscious of that when we're trying to reach out to everybody else who is not participating right now. Because you know what, you're right. A lot of people are not necessarily lost.
They're not lost.
They know things that are going on. The thing is, they don't know what to do about it.
Okay.
They don't know how to engage. They've never been taught how to engage.
And that is okay. That may be true.
We don't get civics anymore. You get American government. It gives you the broad strokes of the history, structure, and function of the actual federal government, and that's all you get. You don't even get Florida history in Florida schools, Chris.
You're right.
So I don't know what you want.
You're absolutely right. You don't get Florida history. That's honestly something I think the community has to really do. The community has to teach Florida history, not the schools.
But that's why I use that analogy before that we can't just stay up on the mountainside and say that. We need to go back down. We need to go back down and find our people and say, hey, I know you know the same problem exists, okay? And we all feel the same way about it, okay? So let's try and do something different.
You know, and the more
alternative structures, they work. Focus on.
They do.
Don't necessarily focus on trying to fight the old, but continue to build new.
Right.
If we're not getting Florida history in Florida schools, then what are our communities doing about it? There are plenty of community centers all over the place. There are plenty of existing community organizations already. You have the party here, you have your HOAs, you have your city commissions and everything. There are advisory boards. There are existing tools already. Nobody's using them.
You know, and the thing about
they're letting them rust.
And the thing about it is, I really believe, for the most part, that people have to get the 101. Okay, step 1. Step 2.
No, literally.
Step 3.
It is the most, they've done the research, the most powerful method to motivate people is a one-on-one conversation.
Really?
Bar none.
Okay. And you know what? That
most
could be
effectively in person, next most effectively over the phone. But if you can have a quality one-on-one conversation with people, you can flip them.
Now, this is what I have a problem with that little piece of information. And I pulled up for my kids when I was in school because I was kind of teaching them when it comes to the recent information. Definitely social media. I love marketing. And there's always a lot of information pertaining to social media that's coming out. Mm-hmm. The average goldfish has an attention span of 9 seconds. 3 seconds, I believe, 3 seconds. We have less than a goldfish attention span. And that took 15 years to, last 10, 15 years to accomplish. And when I pulled it up, and I'm like, wait a minute. This, and by the way, social media measures this. Keep in mind, we have been so acclimated to just simply, if we don't like something in a second, if it's not really pulling us in, we click in less than 3 seconds. We click to move on to something else. That's why most of the articles have to say, if you want to read the full the site, click here. I mean, that's one of the reasons.
That's how they market now. It's content advertising. It's easier. Like, give you a juicy headline to catch your attention, and then they start off with a little bit of story, and they cut it off right in the middle of the sentence. That's it. You click here to read the rest.
But guess what? A lot of newspapers have shrunk in size because people don't want to read anymore. And same thing. That's why they put them on digital. You know, so
and that is why I say it's still up to us. It's still up to the community. There's plenty of work for us to do. We have to put in the work to change people's behaviors,
and that's a tough thing.
It is very tough, and that is the thing that people need to understand first and foremost. It's not about changing people's minds.
No.
It's their hearts and their behaviors. It's about how they feel. Donald Trump won because a whole bunch of poor white people do not see themselves making any progress. And here comes this man who looks just like them, playing upon their fears, because they're not necessarily stupid, they're not necessarily uninformed, they know things are happening. They know they're on the way out. They're going to be the minority by 2050. They know that. And so it scares them. When you are about to lose something that you have, it's scary. And you will react very irrationally towards it.
But why would you... Okay, this is my thing. All right, I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, fine, you have the elections, but if you look at history, and I love history. I love history because it tells us so many, it gives us the answers. History gives us the answers.
You're right.
History says you didn't have to look that far. Look at what Reagan did to the poor white people. Pull it. What Reagan did. Reagan did the exact same thing, but you know what? I think LGB said, you can tell a poor white man that he is better than the best black or colored man. He will give you all the money you have right now in his pocket. If you tell the poorest white man that he is still better than the best black man, you will empty their pockets.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they did. And history shows time and time again, you always get screwed. History shows that. Mm-hmm. It's the same campaign, same thing's been done, but no one cares to look into history. Nope. And the question then becomes okay, since we are bound to repeat history, let's look at this particular time. When you look at alt-right, by the way,
by the way, let's not call it the alt-right and legitimize that bullshit. Call it what it is. It's white supremacy.
And it is. Okay? But you know what?
Let's not sugarcoat it, because I'll tell you what I see right now.
Yes.
We are in the propaganda phase of the Nazi Party right now.
Yes, we are.
Okay? Yes, there is a campaign to desensitize people towards violence towards black people.
It's been that way for years, though.
Political oppression.
Yes.
Okay. And outright hate.
But the thing about this,
we have not reached that level. Look at the man who shot the little boy because he bumped into him. Shot and killed the boy because he bumped into him, and said, as far as I'm concerned, that's one less piece of trash on the street.
When was this?
I don't know. About 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah. See, I mean, this is what
it's working. People are becoming desensitized to it.
But guess what? This has been the desensitizing has been going on for years before it came to this period. All the stuff that you see on media.
This is just a ramp up now.
Now it's time to. So really, what I'm seeing here right now, I'm seeing the Nazi Party about to take place.
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing here is that there will be a cleansing of some sort, and there will be a lot of bloodshed, but people will feel as though, we've been relieved of this heinous people. But the reality is, what they don't do, again, looking at history, the Nazis started killing off Germans as well.
Yep.
But we don't take the time to look at that.
You know what the best example I've seen of that recently is in Roots. All right. Chicken George and his master was on the way home from a chicken fight, and it was right around the time when the Nat Turner Rebellion was taking place. And some of them Rough Riders come to stop him, ask him if he know anything about Nat Turner and where his master at, why he driving his wagon by himself. And he trying to wake up his master because the man drunk in the back. All right. But when the man finally is starting to wake up and he's bumbling with his words and slurring it, the man says, he goes to the other guys, he say, let's go, because this nigga here is harmless and that cracker there is drunk. Let's go. And the man got up so fast, I ain't no cracker. You don't call me no cracker. Cuss after them, what have you. And then he turned to Chicken George and he said, they treated me worse than a nigger all my life.
Wow.
Always have.
Wow.
And it makes you wonder, like, here you are with your very own nigger to make you feel better, and they still treat you like shit, don't they?
See, and this is amazing. The only thing I can basically say is this. It feels better to say alt-right for a lot of people versus white supremacy, but it's still the exact same thing. So all you need to do is, and it goes back to when we say depression. We don't use the word depression anymore. We say recession. Because the R sounds so much better. And this is exactly what it's the same thing, though.
Rebranding.
And honestly, I'm now beginning to see that as long as you have a feeling, not necessarily saying that it's reality, because everybody's saying,
well, perception.
That's the thing. People say, and honestly, you know what? You're right. You're right to a degree, though, because the reality is, what's still going to take place? Your perception, what's in your mind, is still going to take place. So there is another reality that you just don't want to pay attention to.
I always say perception is reality, but reality is not necessarily actuality.
Yes, thank you. That's a better, because the reality is the people who really have the best power are the ones who, the plutocrats, the one who really control everything. And no one really wants to look at them. They want you to pay attention amongst each other. Let's fight amongst each other.
I was going to say that it's funny that they found a way to turn our identity of politics against us. In the beginning, it helped the party build the big tent and unite everybody and say, yeah, we're going to do this. In the meantime, though, because leadership has become complacent, and with continued effort and planning and hard work on behalf of the conservative movement, they've managed to turn that against us now. So that, you have African Americans who don't consider anyone who comes from the island or anywhere else just because they skin black, they don't consider them black. They're not black enough. Like, it's absolute bullshit. Like, when a police officer pulls you over, he does not see that you were born in Fort Lauderdale and somebody else was born down in Jamaica or Trinidad or wherever. He sees that your skin is black. So first and foremost, black people need to get over that shit. Secondly, we have a tendency to be the only ones who really want to push for diversity.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
We're the only ones who talk about it, and we're the only ones when it comes to doing something for our community where people will they will literally stand up and say, but we can't make it all black. We got to include everybody else too. We got to be diverse.
Is that for political reasons though? Is that for money reasons?
It's the political correctness that white people complain about so much when it comes to everybody else.
But yet we don't
realize that we're doing it. That's the thing. But because I don't know, this might sound some kind of way, but I really do believe that, I don't know, deep down, there is something about the psychology of black people that just make us more gracious at heart. There's a certain way that we handle things that, like, most people will rather let certain shit go than to engage in the negativity of it.
You don't want me to talk about Christianity and all this. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go.
Skipping all that. I want to go down to like real life examples, like
how
you get treated when you're at a restaurant or something like that.
Listen,
black people will notice the mistreatment. And you're like, you know what? I ain't never gonna come back here. No, I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna tip that bitch 50 cents. I ain't never coming back here.
But you know what?
White people don't do that. They call the man. I'm sorry. Excuse me. You need to come here and talk to me.
Yeah.
This one here don't know how to talk to people. My drink is warm. My food is cold.
Yeah.
White people know what they are owed, and can't nobody tell them nothing different.
Yeah, but you know what? They also have the certain. They feel a certain way about.
It's an entitlement. Entitlement. That's why I said they know what they are owed, and can't nobody tell them different. Black people don't have that kind of attitude.
But the thing about this, I'll be honest with you, I think it's because of the fact that, don't get me wrong, I think our parents also trained us in many respects. Religion also trained us in many respects. I think society has trained us in many respects. And we look at it's almost like that ghetto fabulous mentality. You go for what's convenient to make you feel better, not necessarily that it is better,
right? Because
you still lived in that fucked up area. You still live in those pork and beans. You still live in those that really low income housing area.
But it's the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's the lowest hanging fruit. Exactly. So you go for what's better. So what do you want to do?
And you know what? It's not just us that will do that. Everybody does that. That is the nature of any animal on the planet. They're going to go for whatever is the easiest to get.
But you know what? I think the wild card
makes that complicated for us is that we live in a very complex society where all of the low hanging fruit come with shit attached to it. Okay,
it does.
All kinds of.
It does.
It's much more complicated than just getting that low hanging fruit and continuing on for the next day.
I do. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that we have to fight to redefining our people. Like, hey guys, like, let's stop going after the basic shit. Like, you don't want to be on basic shit, right? Don't be basic then, bitch. Stop buying. Like, stop wasting your money on buying shoes and clothes and all that foolishness.
You're
invest
you're a consumer.
Your money. Right, exactly. I know, but you know what? I'm trying not to use all the traditional terms that we use because people have become sensitized to it in certain ways. Like, oh, here they go.
Okay.
So that's why I say talk about it in a different manner. Be real with people. You want to be on some real nigga shit. Stop giving a white man your money.
But you know what? It's hard to tell people that now. It is hard to tell people that, especially when you want. Listen, I see those kids. They talk about the latest things so much, and they spend. They don't understand because their parents don't teach them the value in terms of what you have in your pocket.
It's up to each one of us. Look, we need to bring back that saying: "Each one, teach one." Every single one of us who have that awareness, we need to make it a point. And it's not something that you necessarily need to go on a crusade about, but in your everyday life.
You know what? I got to say that.
Every person that you interact.
But you know, I think maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but I think there's also a little bit of a wild card in terms of minority. And I hate to say Latinos, you are the minority as well.
Can we also correct that too? I'm not with the minority anymore. We are the rising majority.
Can you please explain?
What do you mean explain? The statistics are already showing it that these other groups, Black, Latino, Asian, our populations are on the rise. All right?
Okay.
White people, their population is on the low.
But where do they side with? Because this is what I'm noticing. I'm noticing a lot of Hispanics. I'm noticing a lot of saying they are actually making more distance between themselves and Black people. Mm-hmm. Like as though they're not a part of that minority group.
Right. That's why I talked about the propaganda and comparing what is happening right now, this anti-intellectual movement that they have going on with the Nazi movement, okay, in that it is forcing them to do that. They are literally, it's the divide and conquer tactic. They are telling them that being a person of color is undesirable.
Even though they are.
Of course they are.
All right, we just concluded part 1 of the interview when it comes to life after the Trump election. We're going to continue with part 2 in a few days to make it a little quicker for you guys. We're going to talk about that again with Magic Mike. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful day.